The reading from the prophet Isaiah is set in the moment of depression of the exiled people of God in Babylon. They feel abandoned. It's a long time. There seems to be no hope of returning home. They are surrounded with foreign gods and foreign customs. They want to be where they belong, and it makes no sense to them that the one who wanted a chosen people has forgotten the project. Not a bit of it. Indeed, the image of the mother who can never forget the child of her womb is powerful. If we look at the cosmos, we see power, we see care, we see order. We forget that creation is not merely one moment in time, but an ongoing operation. Were God to withdraw his creative power and act for one fraction of a second, we would cease to be, just like that. So our creation is maintained. The psalmist also recognizes that power and care and gives thanks. These psalms often come from some crisis, overcome. It is far more powerful when they are sung, because they are celebratory, and a hymn means precisely an expression of emotion in vocalized praise. It's not enough to make of the psalm just another reading. The gospel is very rich. Link between the gospel and the first reading is there. We will come to the gospel in a second, but there is this last part of the apostles' teaching to the Corinthians, which concludes the series of readings from the first letter to the Corinthians on this last Sunday before we go into Lent. And it does, in a powerful way, place his self-defense on the level of the word of the supreme judge. He has not to defend himself. Ultimately, the Lord will do it for him. And so on this level he concludes his teaching with regard to the healing of factions within that divided church community. It's actually quite an interesting reading because of the way in which it teaches us not to depend too much on the judgment of men. Indeed, if we have a supernatural vision of things, we will not lose more merit again by reacting immediately to the judgment of those who want to criticize us. We gain more merit by referring it mentally to God and allowing him to do the defending. The gospel is very rich. It's something that if we mastered would change our life. Why? Because we all tend to have an overdeveloped self-defense mechanism called worry. We cannot be at peace, and it comes from the fact that we are playing God. We can't actually control events. The creature can only receive and in some way orientate. And so what the Lord wants us to do with our worry system is to use it for self-defense without allowing it to take over. If it is not there, then we're not safe. Reckless driving through life in general, on every level, is irresponsible control. And so we have to be aware, to foresee the consequences of this action or this omission. A person who before an examination does not do the sufficient preparation is not responsible. All areas of life participate in that dynamic. So that is the healthy use of worry. The person who loses it, for instance, in taking one pint after another, or even worse, some drug which takes away completely all responsibility, or the person who, for the thrill of winning, gambles and re-gambles and gambles even what he's won, is completely irresponsible and has lost the needed worry to keep himself safe. But then the other extreme needs to be adjusted as well. That saying of John Lennon is actually quite interesting. Life is what happens when you're preparing the next thing to do. We need not to contaminate, not to clog up the event of the present moment by the event of the next. Otherwise we will not live that blessing that is coming. We will clog it out by having too much on our mind. So right now, to be free is to rest with a healthy feeling of caring without caring for what is to come. Partly, our problem is related to the fact that we will not accept that something will happen. It must not happen. This, on the other hand, must happen, or else. It is to misunderstand our truth, for the creature cannot command. Life is given, and time is given, and to some extent events are given. It is only the creature who has understood his truth as the one who is on the receiving end of the grace of anything at all, who is free. That creature then can accept with gratitude this form of time that comes. Pain is created by desire. If we abdicate, then we receive all gratuitously and gratefully. For in the last resort, all that matters is the divine will, and if we espouse the divine will, then all that manifests it is equal unto us. Let us ask for that secret. The Gospel here has a whole program in one word: worry. The root is merimna, and the last verse of the 6th chapter of St. Matthew is something that we need to maintain before our eyes forevermore. Do not worry, therefore, about tomorrow. Meun merimnisite istin avrion. For tomorrow will worry for itself. Igar avrion merimnisi eftis. So this is what we have to handle. Living the today that is the only day of eternity. Tomorrow never was. What was tomorrow is now today, and the tomorrow to come will be today in its time. We cannot try to have the maximum of a tomorrow which should be perfect at the cost of this today. If we live this today well, tomorrow too, when it comes to be today, will be well lived. If we try to perfect tomorrow, today, we will lose both. And so we have this gem of a conclusion from the Lord. Arketon timera ikakia aftis, sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof, kakia. The notion of hassle, I suppose, comes into this. Anything which is causing trouble. It's not the root of poneros, which is evil, but it's more a question of unpleasantness. And so, if we can somehow accept each time we're in trouble, that is part of our state, then we will have a certain freedom. It is an illusion that we can have a life without this kakia. It's part and parcel of our fallen state. So all we can do is try to master the art of coping with it. And one big clue that the Lord is giving us is the coping mechanism with regard to freedom before the event. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. That means today, mentally, is all I can face. I cannot ruin today for the sake of tomorrow. I will live calmly within the parameters of 24 hours. It makes the pain of life bearable. Recevoir. There is but one soul power within the soul of little man. There is alone, mid wrestling brains, one resting place, wherein the moment may be spent and fully known. There is but one small secret here on earth, by which the world is gained, by which the all of all that is may, for its truer worth, be measured and adored. One engine small, and 'tis the wand that taps upon the land of magic moments made, of seconds weighed, of other moments marred or let to stand upon the shore of possibles elate. 'Tis this, the little bliss of knowing how to touch, but such alone as need be now.